Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. No one had stronger arguments than Hungary, said the country's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, insisting his blocking of a €90 billion EU loan to Ukraine is justified amid pipeline disruptions and energy concerns. Now, the statement comes as far-right European leaders rally in Budapest on Saturday, which may see the attendance of U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance at CPAC Hungary. Now, how will all this impact Hungary's parliamentary elections just weeks away? Well, now talk about all that this morning with our guest, István Hegedűs, chairman of the Hungarian Europe Society. Good to have you with us again on TVP World.
Good morning.
All right, so we've covered this a few times, but this latest quote after this summit of European leaders in Brussels, no one has stronger arguments than Hungary. What do you make of that? Is he right? Is he wrong? Where do you stand with this?
Well, he has a strategy which is also, of course, based on his domestic objectives to win elections, and it's based on his ongoing attacks against Ukraine. He called Ukraine an enemy, actually, and there is a quarrel between the two countries whether the pipeline Druzhba can be restored by Ukrainians, or is it really in a very bad shape? Now, the European Commission is going to send a delegation to check the situation. So Orbán uses a lot of bad excuses to attack Ukraine. Of course, when he says we have the best arguments, it's just rhetoric. It doesn't have any real content. He's arguing to convince the Hungarian voters that the opposition leader brings danger for them and he can protect Hungary.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I mean, looking at this energy crisis that we know the pipeline is still not really functional. He's raised this issue, energy price, even now with the Iran crisis as well in the mix. He seemed to get understanding from Giorgia Meloni, who said also on Thursday that she understands Orbán. Does Orbán have a case with this at all?
I think this is a false case, and there are other, investments or intentions by Orbán to bring in, Russian propaganda, to use false flag attacks against a Ukrainian car which brought money through Hungary from Austria to Ukraine. So, in practical terms, there are no real arguments. Hungary should have already become more independent from Russian energy in the last 4 years, and so on. So I understand that Meloni tries to somehow use a rhetoric which is closer to Orbán because they need Orbán's vote. So the leaders of the member states and the European Commission are in stock how to support Ukraine if Hungary and actually as well Slovakia would not support the big loan what they want to give to Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as you already touched on a little bit earlier, István, it's also about elections, which are very much closer and closer on the 12th of April. I mean, this is obviously center stage now, so let's talk about that for a moment. There's going to be also on Saturday the CPAC event, Hungary, drawing all these various far-right people and leaders from around Europe. We're supposed to be Salvini from Italy, Le Pen from France, Wilders, you name it. How much of this, let's say, is going to help at all Orbán's cause? Is this just a publicity stunt? Even we're hearing that potentially Vice President J.D. Vance could even be in attendance.
Yeah, it was already reported that J.D. Vance is coming to Hungary. I don't know whether he comes tomorrow to this CPAC event or independently from that event. And yes, some well-known, quite extreme right-wing politicians are coming tomorrow to Hungary. But I really doubt that this event would change the mood of the people. If Trump had come, maybe Orbán could portray himself as a very important person at European or global levels. But yesterday, the picture which is shown all over in the social media, that he stands alone, not listening Zelensky's speech at a video message at the European Council meeting, was commented by almost everyone that how much he has been isolated at European level. So he tries to bring in people who seem to be important. Actually, most of them are not in government. So I doubt whether this maneuver, which is not the first time for Hungary, bringing here his like-minded friends to Budapest, that this would really change the outcome of the elections.
Mm-hmm. All right. One thing that may well change more, I mean, if we look also at his main competitor, Mr. Peter Magyar, who, if we're looking at various polls, is ahead of Viktor Orbán's Fidesz by anywhere between 5 to 10 points. We have to leave some space there. However, there's this idea, apparently, that there could be a duel, a TV duel, potentially, between Peter Magyar and Viktor Orbán. How likely do you think that will be a head-to-head between these two very, very, let's say, entangled politicians vying for the next leadership position? How likely is that, and what kind of impact would that have on voters?
It's very unlikely that such a debate duel would happen on whatever TV channel. And Peter Magyar even said that he is ready to talk about the future, not attacking Orbán's past. But it's not in the interest of Orbán. That's my presumption, to show that he's ready to talk to this guy whom he calls a Brussels agent. He never even calls his Peter Magyar's name. He just says that person, or he sometimes mentions the name of Tisza, but he tries to neglect him, and all the other Fidesz leaders attack him. But he tries to show that, Orbán tries to show that he is much more above this person who just left Fidesz 2 years ago. So I think he wouldn't go into a debate, and he emphasizes that his real enemy or his real competitors are in Brussels, and that's why he's not going to talk someone who is just an agent of the Brussels bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm. Just also curious, you will know this the best. Looking at various campaigns which Orbán has been part of, it's always had a certain type of strong criticism element against Brussels, against certain Western elites. But do you sense that in this campaign, with the rhetoric being much harsher, not just about Ukraine, but others, with national security implications, do you sense that this is more of a vulnerability of Orbán? Is this more pressing for people, or is this desperation? Like, the rhetoric has really become far more aggressive this time around.
Exactly. I think it's a sort of desperation. He believed that this campaign should follow the previous lines and using the methods what Trump used, involving, very low-level celebrities into the campaign to convince people in the countryside, rural areas, uneducated or less educated people. And it's too late to change. So he gets more and more radical and more maybe desperate, as you said. And there is no more real strategy anymore how to convince people who maybe do not buy this sort of very aggressive anti-Brussels and anti-Ukrainian rhetoric. There is no more space to change in the very last minute, just 3 weeks before the elections. So I think I agree that he went even further than ever before, which is actually usual. In every fourth year or during his political career, Orbán has become more and more radical, moving from a liberal perspective to a more conservative, to a more populist, illiberal, and extremist position. That's what we see, and if he wins, of course, the consequences might be quite gloomy for the Hungarian democracy, whatever democracy we still have at home.
Yeah, and there's also a gathering, I believe it's going to be on Monday as well, on a political level as well, the Patriots of Europe. I mean, this is a part of where Fidesz is part of. You'll have various people then also at campaign events for Viktor Orbán. I mean, again, is this going to, let's say, make the difference for him? What can you expect at these rallies, I think, on Monday?
Not so much. Orbán tried everything. He sent a lot of people on the internet to fight as digital warriors. He tries to bring in as many people as possible from abroad and from the domestic cultural spheres. But the mood has changed. It's a different political context. What might be helping Orbán is the electoral system, which means, as I think we already discussed, that it's not enough for TISA to win by 3-4% because of the individual constituencies matter much more, and a more complicated system where we have 2 votes and compensations go to the nationalists and so on. So if Orbán is able to mobilize, such people who otherwise would stay at home, then the difference might become smaller, and that might help Orbán to win at the end. But at the moment, it's more likely that somehow TISA will win the elections, but we still have 3 more weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And it's 3 more weeks, which we'll very much be watching closely. Thanks so much, and always a pleasure. István Hegedűs there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching. That's World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.